Hey, okay. So where is Project Phillips? I'm going to answer that question shortly. Before that, I want to kind of explain some stuff. Just due to budgeting constraints, and by budgeting I mean time, I'm going to try to do this in one go. So if I go on a side tangent, I'm just not going to cut that out because it saves me time on editing. So I can work on other stuff that I'll talk about in this video. Also, I have a book to help me follow along with my points for the episode. So where is Project Phillips? Right now, Project Phillips for a large part could end today, tomorrow, or even yesterday, right? But it's in this area where I'm not necessarily loafing around, but I'm more so just doing stuff. So it's not like, oh, there's immediate goal chasing or there's this. It's not with school where it's like, okay, IB exams or this club event. It's more so in this natural, free form you say, and it's really awkward. I will say it's less stress inducing, right? Because before in the school year, I was like, okay, there's multiple stuff I have to do. The 11:59 deadline is coming right then, so it's like I have to balance everything at once. But now it's like I have the full day, I can schedule out better, right? Give me a second. I'm gonna try and do this. But there was an epiphany I had. Funny enough, it's actually been more than a year, and I think I thought Project Phillips started in like July, early July. So then in the episode yesterday, I was going to talk about like, oh, okay, there's this many days to Project Phillips, the anniversary. Then I checked when it started, and it was June 24th. So I actually missed my own anniversary, which I'm kind of salty about. But then it gave me this epiphany that I have to end it. And I've talked about ending Project Phillips multiple times, and I think the last time I talked about it, I talked about how there was this internal struggle where I saw it as like this parasite to my success, where it's like, oh, it was a conflicting thing on my balance or whatever. But I think now when I say I want to end Project Phillips, I think it's more so as a friend or like this project, right? Because I really do love Project Phillips. I think me as a person, I understand why I should have ended. I understand the benefits of ending. I think most people understand that as well. But then at the same time, also realize that as a person, I too easily go with the flow sometimes, right? For example, even today, I was being productive, making a slide deck for my mom, helping her with that, doing some research, planning out a website thingy, and then I went to go eat lunch and I started watching like Neon Genesis about, oh my goodness, Neon. I actually can't say the anime name, but Neon Genesis Evangelion, right? And I was eating for lunch, and then something like that, right? I just started doing that for the whole day, for like about an hour or two, and it was going to be so easy, like just to stay on that path for the whole day. And then my cousin asked me for like this AI thing, then it got me back on track to do my work. But yeah, so with Project Phillips, it's the closest thing I kind of had to an accountability partner. Because the thing about Project Phillips is like you're logging what I do, right? So then, no matter what you do, at the end of the day, you have to kind of you have to say, I did this, or I'm doing this. And then you don't want to go like 7 days in a row saying, oh, it was a cool day, it was chill, I watched this show. The next day I watched this show, I ate this, blah, blah, blah. That's why I love Project Phillips so much, because it actually forced me to be productive. Right? I know I could easily have strayed from that path. And something like this summer, I could easily have just like stayed up all night and then just watch shows the whole time without improving my life in any way. So Project Phillips has kept me on that path where it's like I want to succeed, which is really nice. But then now knowing that a year has passed, I think it's definitely time to end it. I do think, as much as I love, I do think there's this. I feel like I do a disservice to continue it longer than it should be, right? I think the best I can do for something like Project Phillips is to end it before it becomes just too convoluted and just doesn't work as well. I don't know how to explain it best. I'm going to try and use the metaphors I know best. I know from friends and family that my metaphors don't usually work the best, but I think it's similar to this quote from a One Piece character. I think it was Kaido, who said, "Death completes a person." And I don't know his exact interpretation, but the way I interpret it is that once something is done, it's done, and that's the complete package, right? And that's has some complexity there. But with like a show, once it's done, that you view it as the whole thing. So take a show like The Flash. It went on for I think 7, 9 seasons. So then the first 3, 4 seasons were really good, but then to people, to the masses, they say like the other seasons weren't as good. So you can't really study The Flash as two separate bodies of works, like the first 3 seasons and the other 6 seasons. You have to study as a whole thing. So if The Flash ended at season 3, people were like, oh, it's really good. But then if it ended since it ended at season 9, then it's hard to say it's a really good show. So then that's what I think I have to do for Project Phillips. Another way I'm going to explain it is that what something is or what you are as a person isn't what you did a second. Like it's not what you've done. Gosh, let me explain this. I have to keep on doing like a one take thing. So who you are as a person, that I believe at least, is that it's not who you were a second ago. It's what you do right now. So the best way to explain, think of a bank robber. So a bank robber just stole from a bank, right? But then if that bank robber returns the money, he's not just a bank robber who stole from a bank, he's a bank robber who stole from a bank and returned the money back because he felt guilty. So then now trying to apply that to a bigger picture of one's life or a bigger picture of a project timeline and stuff like that, then I think you can understand what I mean with Project Phillips. So I do want to do it a service, as this thing has helped me so much to give her a proper ending. And I guess as corny as it sounds, I think for a while, I think in that springtime, I thought Project Phillips as this like parasite thing or as this enemy, but now it's like fighting a friend of mine, like in a fun way, in a sense, like in a respectful samurai something way, which I think is really awesome. So how am I doing this? Well, let's get to it. So really, I think I've talked about this before, but I really do like flowcharts. But even though I don't do them as much. So I have a very simple flowchart trying to discuss. Let me move closer, not too close. I have a very simple flowchart that kind of exemplifies what I'm going for. With the ending, as I said in the beginning, Project Phillips could end today, it could have ended yesterday, it could end tomorrow. But there's a couple of stuff I want to do before I end it, and it's more so these personal requirements, right? So the 3 being my Symphony Part 4, a personal website, and then Let Me See, at least some version of Let Me See. And let me delve into that real quick. For the personal website, it's just more so a thing that I think adds another layer of documentation to this whole docu-series thing. So not only documents Project Phillips as something I can save later in my life, if someone's looking at my stuff, it's like in 5 years or 10 years, like, oh, he did this. But it's also this way, it's like this thing that it's like passing a torch along in terms of the way I document my progress. So I think that's really cool. With Let Me See, I think that's a bit more complex because it's like, I don't know if I've lost my passion for it, but there's other games I'm working on now where I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. I want to put more of my resources into that. But it's like, at the beginning of the project, I said, let me see. So I don't know if it's going to be a disservice to myself, but I think, and honestly speaking, and just like come up with ideas right now, I think it's better to do a service to me right now and say, let me invest my resources into the thing that serves me the best right now, instead of the things that served me the best 10 months ago, or 12 months ago. So yeah, with the game, I'm thinking about this cool game. Let me take a couple steps back. So I talked about how I'm doing like this coding everyday thing with Codex, and it's been really awesome because I never realized how important it is as a programmer to actually just try and code as much as you can. Because the first couple of days was like, oh, I can't really think of an idea, but then by the 5th day or 6th day, you come up with this idea. It's like, okay, let me work on this. It's easier to come up with ideas essentially. And then one of the projects I did was more so like, oh, there's a couple minutes a day, let me just do something. Then I was like, oh dang, I really want to improve a bit, but I didn't have as much time. The next day I went to improve, and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. And I thought about how I could turn it into something that I could actually sell to people. It's a really simple game. I'm not going to act like the code is complex or anything, but I do think it will be a fun product, and I think I could possibly do something with it. It's like, I don't know if it's a startup idea, but I do want to try and invest my resources into that. But I also think there's benefits from investing my resources into Let Me See or something Let Me See adjacent. So there's that conflict there, but I think I'm going to try and deal with it somehow. I'm lucky though. Well, I'm lucky and unlucky because the thing I'm talking about is more so an actual physical product. It could be online as well, but it's more so physical. Where Let Me See is more of a platform and 2D. So they're in different genres of games. But yeah, it's really fun to work with. I will say with Let Me See, they might. Why I do say before I finish the thing, I want to have something Let Me See to share with people. There is another thing, like it's the framework I'm using for Let Me See, but it may evolve into something else, which I'm perfectly fine with. So then, if I'm able to give that out, I'm just going to tick off that personal requirement. Yeah, if I sound a bit just not understand comprehensible, I haven't drank water today, so that's partially why. But all things included. And the last thing is my Symphony Part 4. That one is just more so I have to do it for me. Whereas, because my symphony was, it's meant to tell a story of my educational life, and now it's meant to end at high school, which is really interesting. Wow, I just really like the series as a whole, and I acknowledge that it's really been my fault that it hasn't come out. It was actually meant to come out a week or 2 weeks earlier. I think it's really just my bad schedule planning, my procrastination, my flaws that really halted this whole mini series inside Project Phillips. But I know that I really love the idea. I really want to end it off properly. I feel like I'll be doing a disservice and insult to the whole project if I wasn't able to finish my symphony. So I have to probably, last thing. So I was going through this journal just to jot down notes for this episode. And then I was reading a journal entry from about 2 years ago, 2022. I was laughing at how much stuff I actually said, and it gave me a cool insight into who I was as a person. So that's another reason I like something like my Symphony Part 4, like the series, because it's easy to forget stuff. So I think it's a cool way to just document that educational journey. There's a lot to like compact into one episode because it's like all my 4 years of high school into one. Okay, last one tidbit, because I'm just going on a side tangent. My symphony as a series was actually meant to do, each episode was meant to be dedicated towards a year of my high school career. But then I think it was one of the days where I had less time, so I had to rush. I had to explain why it wasn't out yet. Then I decided that I'm just going to do my symphony as something that documents my whole educational journey. So then that was an impulse decision that led to this, but I think I don't get it. So that's pretty nice. Okay, last thing, if I can read my own notes. Essentially, there's this thing with Project Phillips, and to answer the question, where is Project Phillips right now? It's really hard to actually answer that question realistically or honestly, because I have this internal conflict with Project Phillips where it's a docu-series, but it's hard to tell if I treat it as a planned series or I treat it as a documentation, right? Because I'm hesitant to show my flaws, right? So if there's something I failed to do, or if there's something I procrastinated on doing and led to another problem, I'm hesitant to show that mistake until I'm able to balance it with something better. So like, if I failed to do this for like the ASA, then I have to say, oh, I failed to do that, but at least I was able to do this. And I don't want to say that all in one episode, because I never really want to portray, like, I never want to release a piece of information out there on the internet where it's like, if someone solely looked at this piece of on the internet, they will see me as this person that's incapable of doing this, and that might affect a future job prospect or something. But I think it's more so just an insecurity thing, and that's partially why I actually don't do as many coding videos. Because there's times when I'm coding and I say, oh, maybe I should record this, I can use it for a video, but like, oh, dude, I don't want someone to see like my bad code and say, oh, blah blah blah, this sucks, blah 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 blah. And it's like, that's still something I'm trying to overcome. I think it's something I have to overcome by the time I'm done with this. But that's really why there's a lot of gaps in information of how Project Phillips goes. So like, even when what's the best way to explain this? Sometimes people, okay, yeah, this is the best way to explain it. So my friend, he asked me on my Instagram post for the Project Phillips, and it's like, when is Project Phillips coming to an end? I kept giving him an honest answer that honestly, I haven't planned out properly, and it's really my fault. That's a whole it's not really a mess, but it's like it's my fault that's extending to this duration. But I don't want to release that. I was like, oh, it's my fault online. So what I kind of did, and I'll respond to him shortly. Shortly being when I'm done with the project. Is I kind of just ignored the common thing, and he's still my friend, but that's a flaw of mine. I think I'm still trying to learn how to portray my flaws in a proper way. I think what I probably just have to do, as many times as I portray my flaws, I just have to keep on working hard to fix those flaws, right? And I think what I'm going to try with this episode real quick before I end is that I'm just going to say two flaws. One, I have really bad procrastination issues, and two, I have a lot of ideas, so it kind of leaves me in this like dispersed sense of attention. So it's like, oh, maybe I should work on this game, or maybe I should work on this project, or maybe I should work on this project. Like in my Obsidian thing, I have like a bunch of different startup ideas, so just like coding ideas that I haven't really invested time into, and they're all really good, but then it does disservice to me. And those are two flaws I'm still trying to work on. And it's also those two flaws that I think have impacted Project Phillips the most in a negative way. And that's something I'm still trying to work on. But that's life. So that's where Project Phillips is right now. Ironically, we're in the last saga, even though I said that about like 6 months ago. But yeah, I do think this time, in my intent with ending Project Phillips, is not so as an enemy, like I said before, but it's more so because I really love this project and I really want to do the greatest service to the project that's done for me. And to tell you that I think of actually ending Project Phillips, the best way I know at least is that in my head I'm picturing the ending scene, and then on my flowchart I actually came up with a draft name. So I'm actually coming up with a draft name for the stuff now. So right now the draft name for the last episode is The Final Slash or something like that. It has to be sort of related in some way. And I will tell you one thing. For the final episode, I have to have some like sword fighting scene somehow. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but that's just one of those personal requirement stuff that I have to fulfill for my own joy and satisfaction. But yeah, that's where Project Phillips is right now, and this thing where I'm just working, crafting. I can't give an end date to when it's gonna be done, but I can tell you that I'm working on doing that now. So the first thing I'm really trying to work on is getting the personal website up, but then the game thing is also in the back of my mind and still working on that there. And then my Symphony Part 4, I have a vacant week this week, so I'm just trying to actually do that as well. I'm excited to end it. I want to end it as best as I can because it's an amazing thing. So that's where we are. This does feel like a nice episode to do. I'm going to walk towards the camera slowly. I don't want to have like an awkward ending. I really don't want to do as much editing. I don't want to decrease the amount of editing I have to do. So I'm just going to walk towards the camera slowly and like have a natural, proper ending and just go to a pause button and hit that